This is gonna be long, just a warning.
That's what she said.
Hi everybody, Carla here. So I said I was going to do a frame-by-frame analysis of the Young Royals trailer, so here I am. I'm gonna do that today. It's gonna take a while because there's a lot to go into. It was a really good trailer and I have a lot of thoughts. So just warning again, this video is probably gonna be long, but if you guys are into Young Royals, we're only literally today only 1 week away from the season coming out. I am out of my mind and I'm just super excited. So I want to talk about Young Royals and I hope you guys do too. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna cut to the chase like real fast and just start going through the trailer frame by frame because that's what you guys are here for, right? So let's do this. Alright, I should mention before I say anything else that I will be talking about possible speculation. That speculation will involve inevitably stuff that some other people might not want to know because I've read some spoilers and it might slip out. So just as a warning, there may be spoilers. I'm gonna try to stick to what's in the trailer, but just in case, if you don't want to know anything and want to go into the season like completely clean. First of all, what the hell are you doing watching this? Because that trailer is pretty, it seems like it's telling you exactly what the season is gonna be. So, you know, maybe rethink your decisions in that case. But there may be some smallish spoilers, I guess. So just keep that in mind. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger! No, Will Robinson! Danger!
So, the trailer opens with a shot of Hillerska. Of course, we all know and love this shot. It doesn't really tell us much, but it is what it is. Then we see a photo of Christina, Ludwig, and Ville. And I'm not entirely sure if the previous shot is meant to be like an establishing shot. That means that this little bit is happening at Hillerska too. But we should note that, of course, Ville is wearing his uniform, so it's possible that they are indeed at Hillerska. The thing is, and this is something that I've been kind of thinking about since the trailer came out, if they are at Hillerska, then that room they're in is exactly the same place where we have that still of like the three of them having, I guess, lunch or something from the stills that we got like a while ago. So it's the same room. So that would imply that Christina and Ludwig have been to visit Ville at Hillerska twice in 1 year. Not just twice in 1 year, twice in 1 semester. Which, I don't know, seems like a stretch to me, but you never know. It could be either, I guess. Also, I should note that there is a lot of green outside as compared to the other still that we got, the still that we got, which we couldn't really tell what was outside. The windows were kind of like clouded over. It might be that it was snowing or it might be that it was raining or something, but in this one we can see the trees outside and they're green, so I'm assuming this is in the spring at some point. If so, it's probably toward the end of the season, of course, and it might be while Ville is giving his speech, which we will see later that he kind of seems to be giving a speech maybe. The next shot is of Ville not looking very happy, which is probably going to be a recurring theme of this video now that I think about it. Like, what else is new? Then we see a shot of Ville and Felice talking to each other as they walk into what I'm assuming is the church, because it seems like the same entrance or a very similar entrance to the church. And it's probably early-ish in the season, so I don't think these two scenes that we've looked at, these two shots, are actually contiguous in the season. I think one is later and this one is earlier because they're all wearing winter gear, right? So you know. Also note that Alexander, yes, that Alexander, is talking to Henry and Walter to the right of the picture. So, you know what? I did not expect to see Alexander in the trailer. I knew that he was going to be in the season because we saw Xiaolong post a picture, a behind the scenes picture with him and Edwin. So I knew that he was going to be in the season. I didn't know that he would be in the season enough to make the trailer, which surprised me. So because I am surprised by this, I'm going to keep an Alex count because I really wasn't expecting to get so much Alexander content in this trailer at all. The thing with Alexander is if this is early in the season, I'm going to assume that he's just gonna come back. You know, he's just gonna be there. He'll be allowed back sometime after the break, and we won't really get to see how that happened. We won't get much of a backstory of how that happened. I think that maybe we'll get like an offhand mention, just so we're not like super confused or anything, but I don't think they'll make a big deal out of it. I think Alexander's just back, you know? And that's it, we just have to go with it. Also note that behind Felice and Ville, you can see Stella and Frederica, and Frederica laughs, like she smiles as they walk past, and I'm like, she totally ships them. Which is hilarious. Like, you can't convince me that Frederica doesn't ship Ville and Felice, which is amazing because obviously she knows. Like, obviously she knows about the tape. So like, I think that's that's super interesting, but not something I would put past Frederica at all. So yeah. Anyway, in the voiceover we hear the headmistress greet everyone back to school, so this is very probably just the first day of school, of the first day back at Hillerska for the semester. Next shot we see is inside the church, and it's interesting because Malin seems to have to stay in the back this year, which is interesting because like at the end of episode 6, when they were at the church, she was sitting beside Ville, which I thought was funny. But this time she gets to stand in the back, I guess. Also, I should note that I was talking about this with a bunch of my girls. This doesn't seem to be the same church that they used last season. Like, the pews are different. Also, the door swings in the opposite direction for some reason. And in the church they used in season 1, there was an exit sign above the door, which we should be able to see in this shot, but it's not there. And also there was a lamp hanging from the ceiling in the background in the antechamber, which we should be able to see behind Malin here, but we don't. So I think this is a different location, a different filming location, but I think it's meant to be the same church. Like in universe, it's meant to be the same church. It's just for whatever reason they weren't able to like get the same location. I don't know. Or, you know, maybe it is the same location and they just remodeled or something. You never know. But it's interesting that it's very different, even though it's expected for us to think that it's the same, I think. Next up, we see Ville and August, and also sitting beside August is Vincent and Niels, which it's kind of funny because, like, if you look at them, like, Vincent and Niels are so much like shorter than August, but they're not really that much shorter than August in real life. Like, at least Vincent is relatively average in height, I think. So like August is very tall, but Vincent is like what, maybe half a head shorter. Like, he's about Ville's height. So I just find it funny that in this photo they look so small. Like they're really like, you know, slouching a lot in their chair in order to look that small compared to August. But anyway, there's the main focus is on August and Ville, and Henry and Walter are also sitting beside Ville, which I like. But the main focus is definitely on August and Ville. And, you know, there's that murderous glare that I love. So perfect. Listen, we got clips over the weekend, and I am here for every single scene that involves Ville just humiliating August. I am so in for this. Like, I want him to assert his authority as the crown fucking prince and let it be known that August is nothing to him. I am so into this. So every time I see this murderous glare, I'm like, fuck, I would murder him. Actually, I would actually murder him. It's good that Ville has some restraint. Because I would probably, like, just kill him. Oh god. Then we see a close-up of Ville. Again, he does not look happy. And I'm just gonna be repeating this a lot in this video. Okay? Like, it is what it is. I can't do anything about it. So yeah, he doesn't look happy. In the next one, we see him close his eyes and breathe in. And then let it out. And I think the first thing I thought was, I wonder if he's doing that when, like, Simon starts singing. I wonder if Simon is singing as he's doing this. Because obviously we don't get it in the trailer. We don't really get the audio in the trailer. This is where the song starts playing, which, by the way, that song, y'all, that song by the Irrepressibles, I believe is that they're called. They're amazing. I went on a bit of a deep dive on Spotify after I found out what this song was, and they have so many amazing songs that are very, very, like, relevant to the show. And I find it fantastic. Especially look up Two Men in Love, which is my favorite, and it's like it was fucking written for Ville and Simon, okay? Just, if you like this song in the trailer, Two Men in Love, that's your song. It's amazing. So next up we get a title, just saying a Netflix series, which, great. Then we see Simon. And I feel like this is kind of a welcome back party on the last day of break, maybe. I think this is before they actually come to, like, school, to class. Like, the students are back, but classes haven't started yet. So I fully believe that this is the first time Simon and Ville are seeing each other since the break started, basically. And as you would expect, it's pretty intense, right? Like, these shots are amazing. Then we see Ville clamping eyes on Simon for the first time, which, oh, pain. So much pain. Also, I should note the colored lights in the background. Like, this is 1000% a reference to that last scene of episode 1 of season 1. You know, when they almost kiss while they're outside the party. And it's a reference because the lights are about the same colors as the lights that were behind Simon through that whole scene. So, like, this is their thing, okay? Pretty lights in episode 1 in every season. I'll take it. Just, you know, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing to us, which is fantastic. In the voiceover, we hear Ville tell Felice that it hurts so much, which... oh! Pain. The shot goes back to Simon, and I just want to take a second to point out his transition in this shot. And I have two shots, two screen caps of it, because first you can see that his expression goes from, like, an almost smile, like an automatic almost smile. You know, like this idea that when you see the person you love, you have to smile, that kind of a thing. It's almost a smile. And then in the next shot, he's just like, whoosh, he's just stone, okay? We can, in this little itty bitty moment, we can see him steel himself when he sees Ville, from, like, his immediate organic reaction, which would be like, oh, it's you, I'm happy, to just stone. We can see him steel himself when he sees Ville, and it's amazing. Like, Omar is amazing. Oh my god, you guys. I was mesmerized by that little, like, half-second moment. It was incredible. Then we see Felice hugging Ville in Ville's room. We've already seen a still of this. They weren't hugging in the still. Now we've seen them hug, which is great because I've already, if you've seen my previous video and my video reacting to this trailer, I've already mentioned how much I love this, because I just want Felice and Ville to be BFFs. I need it, and I love this so much. I love how close they've gotten in like a few weeks. It's amazing. It's fantastic. I love it. I'm happy. Then she tells him that it will get better, basically, and I love a supportive BFF. And also, I have to just mention the way that Ville is playing with her hair. Adorable. I love them. I need so much more of them. They're so great. It's so cute. I love them. Then we see a shot of Ville that we've seen in the first 4 minutes clip. Basically, he's got Eric's jacket on, and we hear, in the voiceover, we hear Felice say, just because he and Simon aren't together, that doesn't mean that it's over, which, you know, true. Listen to her, Ville. Felice is the MVP, and she knows what's up. She's totally right. We know it. She knows it. Ville should know it too. I'm just saying. Next up, we see a shot of Simon, which is interesting because it took me a little while to piece together what this was, but it's a shot of Simon holding onto Ville's orange sweater that, you know, put a pin on it because it'll come back. In the next shot, we see him bring it up to his face and smell it, basically, which is a little bit creepy when you think about it, but also kind of sweet. Like, I'll allow it, it's fine. Now, here's the thing. Speculation, of course, but I think this could be after Ville is taken out of school and maybe, you know, closer to the end of the season. And, I don't know, his sweater somehow got left behind at Simon's place. Which, now you think about it a little bit more, I prefer to think that means, sorry, I keep touching my microphone. I prefer to think that means that Ville has been to Simon's house, you know? Like, it didn't just get there by some kind of sequence of events that led Simon to end up with it at his house. I think Ville left it at his house. Maybe not on purpose, maybe he forgot, but like, he was at Simon's house. And you know, if Ville took his sweater off at Simon's house, I'm gonna go ahead and say that they hooked up there at some point, because like, what other reason? Am I right? Which, honestly, I had kind of already assumed that they'd hook up like as soon as humanly possible, because, let's be real, they're horny little bastards. And they love each other, so like, I don't know, I feel like this shot just confirms it, basically. I might be wrong, and I fully expect all of you to come back and comment, like, in the comment section, be like, you were wrong about this, and about this, and about this. I'll probably be wrong about like 85% of everything I'm saying. It's fine, I'm aware of it. But like, I like to speculate, and I really do think that this is basically a confirmation that they hook up at some point. You know? And it's funny because it's like the trailer is like, you wanted a confirmation? I'll give you a confirmation. Because basically the next shot, as if to confirm it's Ville, we see him wearing the sweater, literally, like in the next shot. It's so funny. So first we see Simon, and then we see Ville walk in. And he is just, he looks so awkward and sad, which, again, is the theme with Ville in this trailer, I guess. I don't know. And we see him kind of dodge his gaze, so obviously he can't hold Simon's gaze there. And now, this is where it gets complicated. There was a clip released last week as well of Ville when Jan-Olof comes to pick him up, like to take him out of school. And in that clip, he's wearing the same like white/cream undershirt that he has right here. And the girl who's sitting like right in front of Simon there, she's also wearing the same clothes. So people are speculating that the clip and this little shot here are happening in the same day. In which case, if Ville is taken out of school that same day, then he wouldn't be able to go to Simon's house and leave his sweater there, right? And because in the second scene he's not wearing the orange sweater, people are thinking that maybe he took it off in class or something and then left it and then Simon picked it up. But I mean, it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's impossible, right? If that is what it is, that's fine. They'll figure it out. But like, it seems a bit weird to me because, like, why would Wille take his sweater off? It's a thin sweater. It's not even that. It's like probably one of the fancy ones that are like cashmere or whatever. It's probably thinnish. And he's obviously not wearing it for the cold, I don't think, because I think this is probably like later in the season. So why would Simon keep the sweater? You know, especially if he's still uncomfortable around Wille. You know what I mean? Like, would he take it to give it back to Wille? Then why not give it to Felice? You know, they seem close, so like, I'm sure Felice could just give it to him. Moreover, why would he then take it home with him? You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. It would be a weird sequence of events in my head. Not impossible, but a bit odd. Now, what I think we have to remember is that this show is very economical with its shots, and even in season 1 they often repeat like shots, actual shots, more than once, even though they were supposed to be like different days within the continuity. They still like repeat them. In season 1 we got a lot of repeated shots that were supposed to be different days in continuity. So I think it's very possible that they shot 2 versions of the same set, kind of, just to save on time. And in order to make them different enough, they had Edwin take off the sweater for the second one, or whichever order they filmed, I don't care. And just the mere act of him taking off the sweater would make it like a different day. You know what I mean? Within the show's continuity. Like I said, it's not impossible that Wille does leave the sweater behind in the classroom, but you know, I am making the executive decision to still cling on to hookup theory because I like hookup theory. I just want them to hook up, that's all. In reality, all we really know is that Wille has the sweater here, and it's probably at some point early in the season, and then later on Simon has it at his house. And it could have gotten there in any number of ways. You know, I'm just more concerned with the fact that I'm less concerned with how the sweater got there and more concerned with the fact that the sweater is obviously a reminder for Simon that Wille isn't there anymore, or isn't his anymore, or I don't know how it's going to go down, but like it seems like Wille is not there with him, so Simon misses him and that's why he's smelling the sweater. I don't know. In the next scene, we see Niels talking to Wille, and it took me a while to figure this one out. Like, if you've watched my reaction video, you'll know that it just went whoosh right over my head. Which, yeah. But it basically seems like Wille is talking to Niels about Simon, and Niels is basically saying that, telling him that Simon shouldn't have expected Wille to tell the truth in the video in the first place, even though Wille told him that he would. You know, like, he should have known better. Which, you know, if we go to the next shot of Wille's reaction, it's a terrible thing to say. And you know, I hope that Wille's reaction is him thinking exactly that, with this expression that he has on his face. Because, like, that's a terrible thing to say. Like, if someone who loves me tells me that they're gonna do something, I expect them not to flake out. I know that in Wille's case it's like a huge undertaking, but the problem wasn't so much that he lied in the interview. The problem was that he told Simon that he wasn't going to lie. That's my issue. Like, oh, Simon should have known that he was lying is not an excuse. What the hell? Like, you have to be honest with the people you love. What? I don't know. I hope that Wille learns his lesson in talking to Niels, because Niels fucking sucks. You know, at least until this season kind of proves otherwise, because I think they may be trying to like make him friendlier or whatever. But like, as of now, Niels fucking sucks, and that's generally where I'm at with August, like, minions. So, you know, it's an uphill climb for season 2 to change my mind, but we'll see. In the next shot, we see the girls walking around the school grounds, and again, like I said in my last video, I love the girls. I love that they're all friends. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of the 5 of them just interacting, because I think they're great. And honestly, I think they might be the ones to like save everything, because like remember how Felice was the one who saved everything in season 1? I think the girls are gonna save everything in season 2. I don't know. The next shot is just an extra shot of the 5 of them because I wanted to see Maddie, and also I feel I don't know if this is just me, but because this is a super short clip, but like I feel that Sarah is lagging a bit behind, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I wonder if it's the weight of all the secrets she's keeping. You know, I'm giving her like a suspect look. It's like, Sarah. So I thought it was interesting. In the next scene, then we see Billy and Simon in the library, and Simon admits that he's been thinking of Billy all break, basically, which, I mean, we've been new, but like, it's good that he's telling him. Then we see a shot of Billy as he says this, and it's like, because he adds that it's been nice to have some space as well, which, fair, like, it's fair, I get it. But like, look at the devastation on Billy's face. It's funny because in season 1, I kind of had a joke that whenever Billy and Simon were hanging out and Simon would just leave for any reason, the look of devastation on Billy's face would be like so stark. And I found that so funny. And this is like the same look of devastation, but it's not funny anymore. It just hurts. It just like stab me through the heart, why don't you know? Then we see a close-up of Simon again as he says that he needs some space. And you know, I also support Simon because he has a right to move on, am I right? Like, if Vila can't give him what he needs or what he wants, then he has a right to move on. I get it, it's fine, I'm not blaming him or anything. And anyway, I just wanted to say that I'm pretty sure this scene happens either right after the scene in the classroom with the pencil case that we're gonna like literally go right to it after in the trailer, or just at some point in their first day of school, because they're both wearing uniforms just like they are in that scene in the pencil with the pencil case. And also there was a clip last week of a vote they're holding for lunch. Like, the seniors are usually supposed to like eat lunch first, and Villa's like, who says so? It's like, who made that rule? And they said he just kind of leads a vote against it so that the first years can like eat first. And they're also wearing their uniforms, so I'm thinking all of that happens in the same day. My latest hypothesis about this is that first we see the pencil case scene, then lunch break, then this scene in the library, because I do think that Simon in the pencil case scene is kind of like avoiding like even interacting too much with Ville, and I think he needs something to like get his attention, that hey, this Ville is not the same Ville that you knew last semester. And I think the lunch vote might do that for him, so he like they either meet up in the library afterward, or like, I don't know, maybe Simon goes there and Ville follows or whatever, but they have this talk. And I don't know, it's gonna be intense, man. Like, I only saw like half a second of it in this trailer and I'm already like freaking out. Next up is, of course, the aforementioned classroom scene with the pencil case. Now, we've already seen the full clip of this, but basically what happens is that they sit next to each other in the class, which I'm so curious as to how that's even happening, because we never really saw them sitting together in the first season, and suddenly they're sitting together all the time in this one, apparently. So they sit next to each other, and Simon is like trying so hard not to even acknowledge the fact that Ville is like sitting right beside him. But like then like he's looking down at his notebook and whatever, and Ville asks him for if he can borrow a pencil, basically. And it's so cute because Ville is so like is so like super nervous and awkward, and it's just adorable. And it's super cute. So this is where he asks. Then in the next moment, Simon says, yeah, sure. And they both reach for the pencil case at the same time, and their hands touch. Which you can see there. That's the next one, and it's so cute. I squealed so hard. I'm sure you saw my reaction in the trailers. Like, oh my god. And they both sort of freeze, and Simon pulls his hand away, like, pretty quickly. It's a cute scene. It's kind of almost like super heartstopper of them. Honestly, it's something that would fit in the Heartstopper universe, which again, I don't want to cross over. I don't want it. Please don't. But like the vibes, I like the vibes. And yeah, we already saw this entire scene, and you know, Ville is it's the whole thing is basically a ruse by Ville to just try and get Simon's attention somehow. I think it's funny that the pencil case is Garfield. It's adorable. And it can't be that Ville can't open it, because it can't be that hard to open. It's a pencil case. It's not rocket science. So he clearly just wants to get Simon's attention, and it's adorbs. I just love it. Again, the reaction to that scene is in my previous video, so be sure to check it out if you haven't. Then we see Simon at the library, and he's kind of side-eyeing August. And I have come to think of this moment in my mind as the he knows scene. As in, I think Simon knows that it was August who recorded and uploaded the video. I think Ville tells him pretty early on. I hope. I'm thinking, because I definitely think he knows. And I think Simon is in on the revenge plan from that point on. You know, Ville's revenge plan against August. Or, you know, at least that's what I'm hoping it happens. But I really do think that this side-eye here is a good hint that Simon knows. And also, I should note that Sarah's sitting beside him. But what's most interesting to me is that Henry is sitting across from him. And it really means a lot to me that Henry's hanging out with Simon. Or, you know, maybe they're in a study group with Simon or something. Because I want Henry and Walter to be friends with Simon. I just need it, okay? I just want Simon to have friends at Hillerska so bad. I want him to be friends with the boys. That's all. Then we see August, and I'm not entirely sure what this look from August means. Like, it almost has like a triumphant edge, or like he's being his usual arrogant self. But also it's kind of weird because he almost looks scared. And I don't know if that's because he knows that Simon knows and is scared of what might happen. I don't know. It's a weird expression. But also note that Alexander is sitting in front of August, so they're apparently still running in the same group, I guess. Next shot is August running at some ungodly hour of the morning. I genuinely could not care less. Sorry. Then we see a shot of August and Sarah talking, and August is telling Sarah that he regrets what he did. I don't buy it. That's just me. The thing is, in the next one, we see that Sarah really does seem to buy it, you know? And honestly, I'd be mad, but I can't really blame her for wanting to see the good in him and want to give him a chance to be better. So, like, I don't blame her for that, but it's still kind of odd because I just don't buy it from August at all. We see her, like, fist her hand in his clothes, and it does seem that she does generally feel for him, which I think is interesting because we didn't really get to see that in their dynamic in season 1. In season 1, it just all seemed like a matchup of convenience, you know, like August wanted something and Sarah wanted something, and they could just come together to like give each other what they needed and hook up at the same time. Like, why not? You know what I mean? But I think if there are feelings involved, it'll maybe make things more grounded if we can truly see that they do care about each other, or at least that Sarah cares about him. And I think it would soften the edges of her betrayal a little bit, even though it doesn't excuse it, for sure. And I hope she apologizes to her brother especially. It's a little softer if she genuinely has feelings for him, you know? Next we see a shot of August crying, and honestly, boys, save your crocodile tears for someone else who doesn't hate your guts. Sorry. Now, in the next one, we see someone ask Sarah if she and August are friends now. I think the person who's asking is Simon. I'm like 80% sure, but also I don't trust my own ears. I'm very bad at recognizing voices, so I'm going to assume it's Simon, but I might be wrong. And it would be interesting if he knows about August, though. I guess it could always be Marcus, but like, why would Marcus be asking about August? So, you know, pretty sure it's Simon. I don't know. Then we see Felice confronting Sarah about August. She does not look happy at all. And I also should know that they're wearing like lighter clothes, but not super light. So this might be closer to spring, I guess. Next one, Felice tells Sarah that August is the worst person in the world, which, yes, that is correct. Thank you. Now, I wonder if this is when Felice finds out that Sarah has been seeing August this whole time, because honestly, the feeling I'm getting from this trailer and everything we've like seen of Sarah so far is that I think Sarah won't tell Felice, or like any of the girls probably, that she's seeing August. I think she might tell them that there's someone, maybe, but not August. And like, it maybe even Marcus, which would be kind of hilarious / interesting, actually. You wanted a love triangle? How about a full-on polygon? You know what I mean? No, I don't think Marcus has any feelings for Sarah at this point, honestly. But it would be interesting if she drags him into it just because she can't admit that it's August that she's seeing. Now, we see a shot of Sarah sitting on the floor in what looks like a bathroom. And honestly, this shot kind of scared the shit out of me, no pun intended, when I saw it in the trailer, because every time I see a shot of a girl like this in TV shows and movies, it's because there's some kind of pregnancy scare happening. And, you know, I don't think she'll be pregnant, honestly, but I wouldn't put a pregnancy scare past them. And I'm not sure that I want that in this show. But also, when you think about it, August would probably be the type to like cajole his girlfriend into not wearing a condom. Like, he's that kind of guy. So who knows? Maybe they are going there. Next up, we see Marcus introducing himself. He's cute. I don't know. Someone had speculated after the first 4 minutes came out, because we could hear Simon singing in the background, right? So someone was speculating that maybe while Marcus went to the bathroom, he would hear Simon like singing and go look for the source of the music, maybe. And just from this shot, it definitely seems like that's what happens. But like, I wasn't into that when I read the speculation, because I still feel it's a bit creepy to like hear Simon sing and then just go deeper into someone else's house just to like see if you can see who it is. It's weird. Like, what about your expectation of privacy, you know, in your own house? It's weird. But I'll reserve my judgment, I think, until I see how the scene plays out. Like, it depends on a lot of things. Like, if the bathroom is like right there or something, then okay, it's not so bad. Or like if he gets lost in the way to the bathroom and he has to ask Simon like to direct him there or whatever, like in that case I may not mind too much. But like, my first thought was that if he's just like following the music until he gets to Simon's room, that's weird. That's a bit weird. You know, like, check that. Then we see Simon introduce himself to Marcus. He's cute too. So now note the yellow and black plaid shirt he's wearing. Initially I thought that this was the same plaid shirt that he wears during the piano scene in season 1, but it's actually not. It's a different shirt. That one, the one from season 1, is a little bit more orange and the black bands are like a little wider, but I do think that the orangier one is what he's wearing in that one still I talked about last time when Ville goes to his house. We only see like a blurry little shoulder, like piece of a shoulder. And I really do think that he's wearing the same plaid shirt that he wore in the piano scene in season 1. So would be an interesting parallel if I'm correct. So just put a pin on that. Just one more shot of Marcus because, you know, why not? He's cute, like I said. Note the snow. So this seems to be pretty early in the season still. Now, we see a shot of Ville. And this is what I've been calling in my head Ville's I'm totally not jealous, I'm just normal, this is me being normal look. Because he's totally not jealous, you guys. Not at all, not even a little. Ville asks if he knows Marcus, and we see a shot of Simon. He looks uncomfortable, he doesn't say anything. Now, here's the thing, I genuinely think Simon might not say anything to Ville or Marcus about each other for like a while, at least. I'm definitely hanging my hat on cheating theory here. I didn't want it. I think it's gonna happen. I don't endorse it. But I understand they're 16. They don't have their lives, like, you know, stacked up. Like, they make mistakes. Probably better that it happens now than it happening later when they're, like, married with kids. So, it just... I wasn't going for it, but I've read so much of their, like, interviews in the past week or so, and all of them seem so worried about their characters doing things that are quote-unquote wrong that I really do feel like cheating might be the most likely scenario. Because, like, okay, if Ville does something that's wrong, and Simon does something that's wrong, and Marcus does something that's wrong, it's like, how much time do they have to do they have in the season to do all these wrong things? What if they're only one wrong thing and they're all doing it? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of my way of thinking about it. And I do think at some point Ville will know that Simon's dating Marcus and will probably still want to keep hooking up with him, honestly. I know that people would hope that Ville, like, steps away gallantly or whatever and tells Simon, you know, I love you. If you want to be with me, then you have to be only with me and whatever. I appreciate that thought. I wish that's what I thought would happen. I don't think so. Look, I want my characters to be good and do good, but being realistic and being a writer too, like, you want to put them in situations that are complicated and problematic and not easy to find a solution out of. And I think that's what's gonna happen to Ville. I think, and this is speculation on my part again, but I'm more inclined to think that Ville will want Simon in any way that he can get him. And he may feel that being with Simon and almost like showing him how much better or how much more intense things are with him as opposed to with Marcus, maybe he feels that that will convince Simon to ditch Marcus altogether and get back with him officially. And I think Ville loves him so much that he can't not be with him. So he will take Simon in however way he can get him, basically, at this point. And it's not okay. It's not okay of either of them to do that to Marcus, but I think it would be a super interesting dynamic, you know, and it would introduce us to a side of both Ville and Simon that we haven't seen yet. It's a problematic side, to be sure, but, you know, these boys aren't perfect, and I don't want them to be perfect. I don't think they should be put on some kind of pedestal. You know what I mean? I want them to learn from their mistakes. So, you know, I'm almost at a point where if this doesn't happen in the show, I might even be inclined to write it myself. Because the more I think about it, the more I really actually do want to see it. So I guess I'll see how it goes in the show, and then I'll figure it out what I'm gonna do. But, like, I think it's a very interesting possibility. Now we've got our first shot of August looking at himself in the mirror. I have to say, it's very American Psycho. And I know I keep associating August with that movie and with Christian Bale, but I really do get those vibes from this. Either American Psycho or, like, Joker. You know what I mean? Now, I wasn't sure where this was timeline-wise, but after the last batch of clips that we got, I'm thinking this might be at the palace. Not the palace in Hillerska, but, like, the palace. Like, where the queen lives. And anyway, we hear Ville say, you think you can get away with anything? Which I think is very interesting. And then we see August, which wearing the stupidest hat of all time, can I just say. And here I thought that the turtlenecks were bad enough, you know? But, like, he obviously doesn't know how to handle it when Ville is kind of in Kronprinsen mode. That's what I'm calling it. It's always been like, that's Kronprinsen Kronprins Ville, you know? And this happens a few times. Like, there's already that scene of the vote at lunch, there's already that scene at the party where Ville is like, try me, which, by the way, God, I wish I could have reacted to that scene because it put me in the ground, okay? Whew, boy. That was this. I want like 14 more scenes like that. Just that exact Ville. That's all I want from this season. Anyway, obviously, August just doesn't know how to deal with Ville in comparison mode. I do note, however, that in this shot particularly, the person who's standing in front of August is actually Simon, not Ville, which I think makes it pretty clear that both Ville and Simon are participating in this conversation. And I think it's because Simon knows, I'm telling you, he's in on the revenge plan. He knows, damn it. Then we see Ville, and he must be standing like beside Simon or just probably just outside of frame in that previous shot, but like I'm very like eyes emoji here because I just love that they're ganging up on August together. It's so cool. I love it. And I love that for them. And honestly, this is probably the same day as when they're shooting. We see that later because they're both outside and Ville's wearing all the same layers, you know. Next, we see a shot and we're back to August and Sarah's conversation. August tells Sarah that there's something wrong with him. And, you know, as I said in my reaction video, I just hope they don't suddenly like start blaming all his bullshit on some kind of like mental health issue, because that would suck. That would be bad. And, you know, even if August does have mental health problems, which I'm pretty sure he does, like everybody has at least something, right? They're not an excuse for shitty behavior. So, no. However, Sarah does seem to be moved. I wonder if she's giving him some kind of ultimatum here, which would be cool. Also, I don't know why, but this shot of Sarah gives me Pride and Prejudice vibes for some reason. It's very Keira Knightley of her, you know? This is August's psycho shot, or maybe Joker shot. I don't know, no words, just creepiness. It's very creepy. I love this shot. Then we see Ville by himself in the music room. Later on in the trailer, we're gonna see that Simon is sitting in that empty chair that's, we can see right there, which is by the piano, or what I think is the piano. So Ville, in this shot here, in the resting by the window, he must be either waiting for Simon or thinking after Simon has left. But they definitely have a conversation in this scene. We know this for sure. We see Simon then ask Ville if, like, how can I trust you? You know, and note the winter gear. This is pretty early on in the season, I'm thinking. I'm guessing they're outside somewhere, but I can't tell where. I don't think this is the same scene as when Ville goes to Simon's house, because Ville is not wearing the white hoodie and Simon is in the wrong colors, right? So like, this is a different scene, and I don't think we've seen this scene elsewhere. But it's interesting that they're having this conversation. Then we see Ville in his room, sitting on his bed, and he stretches out a hand to touch Simon, right? So first, note the papers that are tacked to the wall behind him, which I found kind of weird, but okay. I tried to read what it says on them, but no dice, I couldn't get anything, it's very blurry. But I find it interesting that he has papers tacked to his wall. Okay. Then in the next shot, we see Ville touching Simon's hand. And again, I feel like he's just trying to get Simon's attention however way he can, you know? So I think this is very telling. In the next one, then we see Simon, and he still seems mad. Or at least like he can, like he's forcing himself to be unreceptive, you know? And then he looks away. But I mean, we can't be exactly sure that this is in response to Ville's touch. It could just be edited to look that way. But what I'm thinking is that whatever goes down in this scene, it absolutely leads to them hooking up. I think this leads to that one still of the two of them nearly kissing that we got last week, pretty much. I think they're gonna have sex. And I think this is probably the first time since the breakup that they have had sex. So if Simon is with Marcus at this point, Ville may or may not know, but this is probably the first instance of like actual physical cheating that we'll see. Then we get the first half of the tagline, when you lose yourself. Next, we see a shot of the costume party, and then just Ville at the costume party. Immediately after, we see Simon At the costume party, the hands on his shoulders are Marcus's, and he seems to be almost like patting him proudly, which I wonder if that has anything to do with the clip we got over the weekend from the party, where like everybody seems to like be applauding Simon for some reason. I don't know. Then we get the second half of the tagline, and can I just allow me to say that the tagline, "When you lose yourself, you find what matters," is absolute fire. Oh my god, I love it so much. It's such a great tagline. It's so amazing. Now, next we see this shot of Simon, and this is the one that I mentioned before of him sitting in the music room with Ville, and he's telling Ville, or reminding him, I guess, that the palace doesn't want him to associate with Simon, right? So, and just to confirm that, we immediately see a shot of Christina and her minions aides, you know, as if to tell us exactly who the problem is, basically. Then we see Ville in his room, and he tells Jan Olof that he's not leaving, basically. In the next one, Jan Olof tells him that it's not up to him. Not like he's the prince of the freaking nation, right? Anyway, Ville grabs onto the edge of his desk for dear life. Then Malin tries to pull him back, and she eventually does pull him back. And oh my god, I hope that they show us that Malin is at least conflicted about this, because I don't want them to make Malin complicit. I just don't. Though intellectually I know that she doesn't have much of a choice, because it's literally her job and she has to follow the queen's orders, but like, I hope that we can at least see that she's conflicted about this. In the next shot, we see more costume party. Also, oh my god, look at Maddie, what a queen! She looks amazing, I love it. Then in the next one, we get Christina talking to someone on the phone. And can I just say, oh, I hate it when people use their phone like that, like away from their mouth, when they're by themselves. Because it's so pretentious. Like if you're on speakerphone and so that other people right beside you can hear, that's fine. But like if you're by yourself, just put the damn phone to your ear. What's your problem? Jesus. Anyway, she's saying that threats will garner strong reactions, which suggests to me that whatever Bill is planning, he was threatening to go public with something. So it's not like he's just threatening Christina. It's like he's threatening something that people will find out about, probably. In the next one, Ville does not look happy again, and to the point that he needs to scream into a pillow. And also, yay for the return of the red LED lights. I enjoy that. The next photo is just the same scene as before, but I just wanted to pause for a sec so I could break all our hearts by pointing out that Ville has a picture of himself and Eric on his shelf. I swear to god, it's so sad. I'll never get over Eric's death. It's so sad. Jesus. The next one is a shot of the palace, like again, the real palace, not the palace at Hillerskad, the one where the queen lives. And I can't see them in detail, but I think we can see two people walking up the stairs. And I think those people are August and Jan Olof, most likely. Especially after the clip we got over the weekend, you know, about Jan Olof calling August and telling him that the queen had requested him, basically. And with everything that Christina says about having a backup, so, you know. Then we see a shot of Christina talking about this backup plan of hers. Then we see Ville at Hillerskad. He is in his uniform. There is no sign of winter gear anyway, so this is probably toward the end of the season. He's outside. It shouldn't be that cold, I guess. And it seems, is he giving a speech, maybe? I think some of us might be speculating that this might be happening at graduation, or, alternatively, maybe at a celebration for, like, Swedish National Day, which usually happens toward the end of the school year. And I should also note, that's the choir behind him, so, interesting. He does not look happy, again, and I have a hypothesis that is not really supported by much other than just wishful thinking, really, but my hypothesis is that maybe Christina tries to pull him out of school forcefully, but he makes a big stink about it, you know, like or he tries to negotiate that maybe it'll look back if she just pulls him out in the middle of the semester because people will think something happened, right? So eventually she decides it's easier to just let him finish the semester and just not send him back the next year, you know what I mean? And if so, this could be Ville giving some sort of farewell address on the last day of the semester. Next up, Ville runs to Simon, turns him around, and hugs him. I know that Simon seems to be crying, or at least he seems really upset, so something's going down in this scene. Omar said that it's gonna be intense, so we'll see. And then they hug, and it's just, I needed a shot of the hug, sorry. In the next shot, we see Simon looking surprised, and I have no clue what's happening here, but I think this might be the moment in the trailer that made me the most curious. Like, I need to know what's happening here, because he seems genuinely like either scared or surprised, and I'm like so curious as to what is going on. I need to know. In the next scene, Ville tells, I'm assuming Simon, that he could be free. This seems to be when he goes to Simon's house, because he's wearing all the same clothes as he does in that one still. And I think this scene is when he tells Simon about his plan to bring down August and/or threaten the monarchy somehow. I think this is when he tells him. So I think this is pretty early on in the season. Now, the next bit, clearly Ville does something awesome because the Forest Ridge boys are hugging him. Like, even Vincent and Nils, which is weird. My hypothesis is that Nils and Vincent will turn on August when they learn of what he did. And, you know, whether that's because they genuinely don't like what he did, or if it's because it just wouldn't be good to be on the wrong side of the Crown Prince, you know, that remains to be seen. I don't speculate as to their motivations, but like they have clearly turned on August at this point. Walter is there too, as is Alexander, and note, please, that Ville is wearing a blue sweater. Put a pin on that because the sweater will come back, you know. I just wanted another shot because this is literally the first time we see Ville smile in this entire trailer, and I wanted to memorialize it, you know. Then we see Ville taking a walk in the snow with his earphones on, and he says, you know what it's like having to fight for what you want. And I think he may be speaking to Felice in this case, because we know that Felice is also going to be like dealing with her mother, like fighting against her mother's overbearing like nature in general. So I think Ville might be speaking to Felice in this one. Then in the next one, he seems to be looking at the lake. And can I just comment on the cinematography, because this show has the best cinematography, and I'm so glad that didn't change between seasons. I'm really excited about seeing all the amazing shots that we're gonna get in season 2. Next up, there's Felice. She's hanging out outside with Ville, it seems, and I'm thinking maybe this is when he recruits her into his plan to bring down August / threaten the monarchy. I don't know. We'll see. Next shot is of Ville shooting, which I think is funny and kind of cute that he closes his eyes when the thing goes off. Like, I would probably do that too, but it does nothing for like the shot. You should know from his clothes that this is all probably happening on the same day that he and Simon are having that conversation with August. So like maybe it's a bonding exercise for the rowing team or something. I don't know, rich people are weird. Whatever. In the next one, we see Simon and the boys at a rowing competition of some kind. Now, I know nothing about rowing. Just stating that for the record. But I would have thought that they competed like outside in actual water. So like somebody who knows about rowing, please educate me on what the fuck is going on here, because I don't get it. The next one is just another shot of the costume party. Then we see Ville coming back to his room. Now, from the white hoodie, I will speculate that this is maybe after he goes to visit Simon at his house, but I can't be sure because his hair is parted on the opposite side, but that could be a continuity thing, who knows. I just assume that it has something to do with that scene. And again, he does not look happy, so what else is new? Yay! In the next shot, we see Sarah burning down the palace. No, I'm kidding. I don't think she's burning anything. I think she's watching someone else burn something. And I think the flames we see here are not like the flames. I think they're just a reflection of something burning on the opposite side of the room. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it is. Again, this is the same shot as the still where she's wearing the funny apron with boobs. So I guess we'll see. Now, in the next one, I can't be 100% certain, but I think these are Marcus and Simon running up a hill. Maybe it's some kind of a date? Maybe? It seems kind of cute, honestly. But also, I really want Simon's plaid pants. They're absolutely exquisite. Honestly, though, maybe I wouldn't get them in yellow because I can't pull off yellow, but like, plaid pants! Please. Next up, we see Ville banging hard on the table at the Forest Ridge dining room. And the other boys are banging on the table as well, so this seems like an almost like on the table game situation, you know, like they did in season 1. Or maybe something else that's also making the boys rowdy, I don't know. Also, should note, Ville is again wearing the blue sweater here. So I think this happens on the same day as that shot where the boys are hugging Ville from earlier. And also note that Alexander is also wearing at least the same overshirt, so that's good. The next shot is August running, I don't care. Then we see Ville touching what looks like the numbers 1747, like etched on a door. Initially I thought this was when Ville was eating that meal with his parents, or when he's sitting on the floor looking sad. But then I rewatched the trailer on my TV and realized that he's wearing his blue sweater instead of the gray one, as I had first thought. If it is the blue sweater, then that tells me that this is probably at Hillerska on the same day as the other 2 shots with the boys from Hillerska from earlier. So that's interesting. Now that I think about it, and I don't even have this on my notes, but it just occurred to me, could this be some kind of a goodbye thing? Like, if at this point he already knows that he's leaving the school and isn't coming back. That would be interesting. Next, we see Simon bringing the orange sweater up to his face, and can I just say there are so many sweaters? Phil is wearing so many sweaters in this season. I kind of love it because I love that look, but like there's so many sweaters. Anyway, Simon is bringing it up to his face again. Please note that this is a completely different scene from the one we saw earlier in the trailer. So he has to have the sweater at his home long enough for him to do this twice. Also, I don't think he is smelling it on this one. I think he's crying. Sorry to say. Next up, we see the Frog Prince snow globe breaking, which is super sad. And it probably just gets knocked over in the struggle between Ville and Malin. I'm not despairing though, because I think Ville can always just take the Frog Prince figurine that was in Eric's room instead. Next, we see a bunch of boys running through the woods. I am assuming this is more rowing practice / training / bonding, or maybe it's during shooting day. I don't know. I'm going to assume it's just the rowing team. Then we see a shot of August with a gun pointed at his head, which is pretty dramatic, isn't it? Now, I should note that Simon is in the background of this shot, and August is wearing the ridiculous hat. So this is most likely during that conversation that the 3 of them have. And now, I think Ville is the one holding the rifle. However, I don't think he outright points it at August's head. As much as he wants to murder August, I don't think he points the gun at August's head. I think August pulls the barrel to his forehead and asks Ville to shoot him, because I think that's how big of a drama queen he is. It's gonna be a dramatic scene, but we'll see. Next up, cheerful moment, because our boy Ville finally learns to close his curtains. Yay, proud of you, baby. Anyway, it was kind of a joke going around on social media that day that he finally closed his curtains. Then we see Ville and Simon hugging. This is happening on the same scene from earlier in Ville's room, with the papers tacked onto Ville's wall, and then when Ville touches Simon's hand and Simon doesn't seem receptive to it, I guess he changes his mind about that pretty quick. Then Ville asks what will happen to us, which fair question, honestly. And then Simon opens his eyes, which full speculation here, but I feel from his expression in here that he's probably thinking something along the lines of, we shouldn't be doing this, this is wrong. Probably because of Marcus, because as I said earlier, I think this is when they first have sex, and it would imply Simon cheating on Marcus, maybe. But, you know, the hesitation certainly doesn't last long, though, because they will have sex anyway. I'm pretty sure. Oh, man. And then we just get the title card, which, can I just squeal a little about the coloring? Because those two colors, those two tones, are basically my favorite color combination of all time. It looks so good. I squealed so hard when I saw internally when I saw the colors of the title. So yeah, this video has gone on for an hour and 20 minutes almost, so I'm gonna wrap it up real quick. I think this trailer is amazing. I think it tells us a lot, and we can tell a lot from the trailer and the stills and the clips that we've gotten, because we've gotten a lot of stuff, guys. We've gotten a lot of stuff. If you're not watching everything that we've gotten, that's fine. Like, I understand that people don't want to be spoiled, but I can't help myself, so I have watched everything, and I think this season is gonna be amazing. I can't wait. We're literally a week away, and I cannot control my excitement anymore. I'm just so thrilled. So I hope you guys liked this breakdown of the trailer. If you have any comments, anything that I missed, feel free to tell me. If I got anything wrong, or if you have any speculation of your own, go in the comments. Remember that you can find me on social media. I am on Twitter and Instagram at girlsareweird with underscores between the words, and on Tumblr at girlsareweird with hyphens between the words. You can find a Facebook page for this vlog at facebook.com/FreakingNarnia, and as usual, be sure to visit my main website at FreakingNarnia.com/vlog, that's VLOG, where all my videos are uploaded, so in case you've missed anything, that's where you have to go. Everything is uploaded there. Also remember that I have a Redbubble store where I make art based on my favorite quotes from my favorite fandoms, and then you can use that art to print on different kinds of merchandise, such as, you know, coffee cups, computer covers, all sorts of stuff, t-shirts, whatever. It's all in there, so be sure to check it out and maybe purchase something if you're in the mood. It really does help me a lot. If you want to have these episodes of Talks from Freaking Narnia in podcast form, then what you want to do is subscribe to my Patreon, or even just my Ko-fi if you want to give a one-time donation. All my videos are in podcast form up on my Patreon, so if you want to do that, be sure to check that out and think of subscribing. It really helps me. And while I'm talking about a Patreon, I should mention I'm going to do reactions for Young Royals when I do watch it. Like, actual reactions of me watching the episodes of season 2. The first couple of them, like maybe 1 and 2, will be posted here on my YouTube channel. They'll probably be watermarked though, because YouTube is kind of annoying when it comes to copyright, right? So think about that. But then the untagged versions of episodes 1 and 2 will be up on my Patreon, as will the rest of the episode reactions from that point on. So if you want to see my Young Royals episode reactions, you want to subscribe to my Patreon. The link is down in the description. Please be sure to go and do that. It really does help me again. Really nice community. I post extra videos back there as well, so think about it. No pressure. Be sure to check it out though. And that's gonna be it for me for today. It's been a lot. So I will see you guys next time with another talk from all the way in freaking Narnia. Bye guys. Alright, so the trailer opened. Why can't I speak today? The next still is, then we see a, sorry, let me scroll. Then Jon Olaf, when, note the papers that are talked to the